So you rent your home, maybe your office space, and you've got a lease, right? You probably think of it as just a rental contract. But what if I told you it's actually way more than that? In this explainer, we're going to break down why that lease of yours is a really powerful form of ownership, giving you rights you might not even realize you have. Here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll get into the huge difference between having a property right and just having permission. Then we'll look at the 3 legal ingredients that make a lease, well, a lease. We'll cover how you make one official, dig into the promises that both you and your landlord are making, and then we'll wrap it all up to show you why this is all so important. Ready? Let's get into it.
All right, first things first, we have to get our heads around the absolute core idea here, the massive difference between owning a piece of property for a set amount of time and just having permission to be there.
So let me start by asking you this, just to get you thinking. When you sign that agreement and you finally get the keys, what did you actually get? I mean, what do you really own? Is it just a service, like staying in a hotel? Or is it something more?
Well, the answer is all about this powerful distinction the law makes between a lease and something called a license. See, a license is just personal permission. It's like a movie ticket. You have permission to sit in that seat, but you don't own it. A lease, though, a lease is a genuine property right. You literally own a slice of that property for a specific period. This is huge. It means you can sue anyone for trespass if they come in without your permission. And yeah, that even includes the landlord. And here's the real kicker. If your landlord sells the building, your lease sticks. It binds the new owner. It's a powerful, protected right in the land itself.
So how do you know which one you have? How do the courts tell the difference? Well, they don't just look at the label. It doesn't matter one bit if your contract is called a license agreement. Instead, they use a famous legal test from a game-changing case called Street versus Mountford. This case basically created a recipe for a lease. For it to be a real lease, you need these 3 essential ingredients. Number 1, and this is the big one, you need exclusive possession. Number 2, there has to be a term certain, a clearly defined start and end date. And number 3, there's got to be rent. If you've got those 3 things, guess what? You almost certainly have a lease, no matter what it says on the paperwork.
And here it is, the very quote that laid it all out. Lord Templeman basically cut through all the jargon and boiled it down to this simple, powerful idea that is still the foundation of leasehold law. Exclusive possession for a term at a rent. Simple as that.
Now, of those 3 ingredients, let's be really clear about this. Exclusive possession is the one that matters most. It's the main event. It's the legal right to lock the door and say, this is my space, and to keep absolutely everyone else out. This is the key that unlocks you property right.
The easiest way to really understand this is to compare a tenant with a lodger. A tenant has exclusive possession. The landlord can't just stroll in whenever they feel like it. They have to give you notice for things like repairs. But a lodger, they don't have exclusive possession. They're basically living in the landlord's home, so the landlord can come into their room freely, maybe to clean or something. So the tenant has a lease. The lodger only has a license. That's the difference right there.
Okay, so now we know what a lease is. But how do you actually make one official? Well, the law has different rules depending on how long the lease is for.
You can think of it like a ladder. The more significant the lease, the higher up the ladder you have to climb in terms of formality. So down at the bottom, for short leases, 3 years or less, it's pretty simple. You can even have a verbal agreement. But as you climb, the law gets more serious. For a lease over 3 years, you need a special formal document called a deed. And for those really long leases, over 7 years, you climb to the very top. You need a deed, and you have to officially register it with the government's land registry. That gives it maximum protection.
Now, every single lease is basically built on a set of promises. In the world of law, these promises have a special name, covenants, and they're the rules of the game for both you and the landlord.
So what's a leasehold covenant? It's just a promise in the lease to do something or not do something. But here's the really cool, almost magical part. These promises run with the land. What that means is, they're not just personal agreements between the 2 people who first signed the paper. They are physically attached to the property itself, so they automatically bind anyone who becomes the landlord or the tenant down the road. And this is absolutely a 2-way street. The landlord makes promises, like fixing the big stuff, the roof, the walls, and making sure you have quiet enjoyment, which is the legal way of saying they'll let you live in peace. And of course, the tenant makes promises too. The obvious one is paying the rent on time, but also things like keeping the place in decent shape and maybe not running a business out of your living room. It's this balance of promises that makes it all work.
All right, so let's tie all of this together. Why did we just go through all these details about possession and covenants and deeds? Because, honestly, understanding your lease means understanding the power you hold.
So if you only remember a few things, make it these. First, your lease isn't just a permission slip, it's a powerful property right. Second, the acid test for a real lease is having that exclusive possession. Third, those promises, the covenants, they stick to the property, which protects you no matter who owns the building. And finally, the law takes longer leases much more seriously, and that means more paperwork.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought. The next time you look at your rental agreement, try not to see it as just a list of rules and a reminder to pay rent. See it for what it really is. It's a powerful legal document that grants you a form of ownership. It's like a title deed, not to the building forever, but to your very own slice of time within those walls.